Hello, guys. Have a good day today. Today we have another guest from Greenville, South Carolina, my friend
Yeah.
Paul. So, Paul, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, what's that to know, man? I identify myself today with my greatest blessing, which is I'm a father of three beautiful kids.
Hmm.
I have been married to my wife for about 8 years. Um, and I was born in Cameroon, which is west of Central Africa. Yeah, literally go to the center and then go west when you find Cameroon. I was born in a little beach town called Limbe in Cameroon. We moved here when I was in my teens, young, early teens, to Marietta, Georgia, that where I grew up. So my friends called me Southern French because Cameroon is a bilingual country. They speak both French and English, but predominantly French. And I grew up in the South. Hence the confused accent.
Sort of fresh. It sounds cool though. Um, so, Val is not a typical travel blogger, but he's a brother who has been traveling for a while. He's just gonna tell us from his experience. So, um, tell us, like, how was for you when you began traveling and exploring the world? Um, what fascinated you the most?
I think I'd like to relate that to my most recent travel that happened in January of this year. I went out to the Netherlands. I was there for about 10 days. It's a different world out there. A lot of people are on their bikes, on their bicycles, that is. I feel like what I noticed in the Netherlands is bicycle is a notoriety. It's, you know how Hispanic, you have the quinceañera with in the Netherlands. I feel like when you turn 5, you get your bicycle, and that becomes your mode of transportation for the rest of your life.
Oh.
And they have bike lanes everywhere. I actually got ran over by bikes a few times. But one of the things that caught my attention is just how open-minded people are there. But one of the things that I've noticed with travel is as people travel and as I talk to more people, they think we are open-minded. We think they're open-minded, and I'm not sure where the mix is.
Mhm. Um, um, can you elaborate a little bit more on that? That's interesting. Like, do you think that is portrayed as people are interacting more mainly with nationals?
Right on. The big thing that I noticed when I was in the Netherlands is access to fast, high-speed internet. It's few and far between. The internet was super slow, and the way they address somebody coming from the United States, it's like, oh yeah, they refer to Hollywood a lot and all the movies, American movies and all of that. Everybody enjoys those, and they see our approach to certain things very like liberal in a sense, where we think they are liberal in a sense where, for example, marriage is not a thing that is highly regarded in the Netherlands. You can just, go live with someone, and that's perfectly normal. It's normal in most places, but the expectation is not there for both parties. At least the people that I talk to while I was in the Netherlands, when you talk about marriage, it's like, well, if you want to do it, but we're perfectly okay just being together. Whereas in the United States, when there's always that expectation always comes up when you've been with someone for a while. It's like, hey man, you have a question, right? So that's, I don't know if that helped elaborate on it at all or not, but there's just a lot of things that I'm trying to pick what I found interesting in the conversations.
Yeah, one of the things that I used to do whenever I went to the States is I had a lot of preconceptions based on movies, and I think that's all the glimpse of that world that I was able to see. Which I think even for any country, people from any culture is not helpful as you trying to get people in its autonomous relevance and as well reality. which I think it makes it like a great experience. So, of all places that you've been, which one has been your favorite?
Um, this is gonna sound really boring, but we were just talking about this today during. I work for an international company, and so whenever we have meetings, the people who are joining the meetings are coming from the Netherlands. Some are working in France, some are working in England, some are working in Australia, and so we are all every week we're talking to a multicultural audience.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite city of all time is New York, maybe. Like it's New York, New York. I love New York. And you know, I've had the opportunity to visit different places, especially with my work, places in South America, places in Europe, but New York. That's.
Have you tried a fried duck in Chinatown?
I have not.
Oh, it's so good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things I like to do when I go to New York. Just take me to Chinatown. That blessed fried dog, it's gonna anoint me with some oil. So, when you've been in other countries, what do you think has been the biggest intercultural challenge there?
I think the biggest shock comes back to when I moved here from, Cameroon to the United States. That was one of my biggest shocks. As far as challenges goes, usually, language is the biggest barrier when you travel to places. But when I came here, I hated the smell of pizza. Now, don't get me wrong, I love pizza now, but I hated the smell of pizza, and that's all you could smell everywhere. And it made me nauseous, and that just killed me. I would say though, one of the biggest shocks that I've had in my entire life, minus coming to the United States, was one time we were going to Ohio, okay? And my colleague was coming in from the Netherlands, and she recommended that we drive because it's her first time in the United States, and she didn't just want to hop from plane to plane. It's a 12-hour drive, but hey, why not? Let's do it. It's your first time here. Let's give you the full tour. And we decided to take the scenic route. And we were driving in the boondocks of West Virginia and Kentucky. I pulled up to a gas station. Okay, after I had skipped a few skeptical towns along the way, I pulled up to a gas station, and I was talking to the clerk, who was white, and I said, "Hey, I just passed a few towns down the road. I know it's 2020. No, this is 2019 now. I know it's 2019, but I just passed a few towns down the road, and it looked like somebody with my skin color should not stop." She said, "You are right, and you are not out of the woods yet. Get your gas if you need it, and get out of here, because you are not safe." And in 2019, I was just perplexed.
Where was this again?
This was in the suburbs of West Virginia and Kentucky. We took that route because it's one of the most scenic routes in the United States. You see in the mountains, you see in it's just super scenic. So it was absolutely worth the drive. But hearing that scared the pants off me. And on our way back, I didn't go the same scenic route. I decided to keep my track, but this was in the suburbs of West Virginia and Kentucky, where you knew it's one of those towns where it's like a bowl. You're coming up from the hill and you can see the whole town in a little circle down in the valley.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's intense.
They still exist, man. It's crazy.
Yep. Let's say you've been in different parts of the world, and also you told me you've been almost in all over the states, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is fascinating. But I think you look into different cultures within your own country and experience all different cultures, you kind of see some things different. Like like some different kind of normals for people, that sometimes when we immerse ourselves in that experience, it kind of like rewire us in the ways that we in the way that we think. What has been the experience for you after all the traveling you've done?
Interesting experience for me. I'm gonna go back to, so growing up, I was taught that, and this is a cultural thing that's just part of the Cameroonian culture, is, or I come from the southwest part of Cameroon, and at least that's where I was born. And on that side, if you are always busy, it's seen as you are being irresponsible with your time.
Hmm.
So typically what we brag about here in the United States, if you ask anybody in most countries, how's it going? Man, I'm busy all the time. And that's like the song of the day. Whereas if you say this in southwest of Cameroon, you are perceived as this is somebody who procrastinates all the time. And as a result, you're not responsible with your time. That's why you're always behind and always busy and can't make time for anything else. So that's been a little bit of a difference there and an adjustment. And if I'm being honest, I still view it that way, man. I still view it that way. I think if you get things done when you need to get them done, you can make time for things that are important. And for me, nothing beats making time for my kids and my family. So that's how we see it. If family needs me, I'm never too busy to be there. So that's just the notion that I would say culturally has been different for me.
That's awesome, brother. And I think that's important too. Us, like, different cultures have different notions of the value of time. I think it's important to set our priorities in where that time is going to be deposited to. So yeah. So do you have any favorite international food?
I had the opportunity to have authentic arepas.
Ooh.
That was incredible. Unfortunately, I didn't have it in Venezuela. I would love to go to Venezuela one day and have proper arepas. The person who made it for me, he is from Venezuela, and it was as authentic as they come, and it was incredible. One of the things, it was filling. Okay. I had like 3 of them and I couldn't move. So, speaking of food, there is this, it's not my favorite, it's actually disgusting. But there is a famous sort of Dutch food that is known, that the Dutch people are known for, and it's called the herring. Have you ever heard of the herring? It's basically canned fish that has been fermented.
Oh.
Right? It's slimy. It's gross. Okay.
Bro,
it is. Oh yeah, it stinks. It smells like death.
Yeah, that's why I'm not a fish guy.
But it's part of the initiation. If you go to the Netherlands, if you go to Holland in general, that's how you get initiated. Is you're expected to try the herring, and sure enough, I did. I tried the herring, and it took everything in my body not to just regurgitate what I was chewing.
Oh boy, that sounds disgusting.
Yeah, it's terrible, but it's a good initiation though.
In the jungle here, they eat worms, but there's like a special kind of worms that are fat and thick and are kind of short. So one of the times when I began living in the jungle, when I used to be a missionary, I wanted to get like that fat worm and then ate it. I was the first and the last time, and I think there is a video still yet. That hasn't been publicized. If I find it, I'm gonna put it at the end of this video so you can check it out.
I may have a video of me trying the herring as well. So we'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, that will interesting. Um, so do you have any plans after all this ends? Is anything special you want to do when COVID-19 situation?
Yeah, I plan on. I have plans to be in Peru with some projects I'm working with you. I have to be in Chile for work. I would be in Chile, Belize, a couple places in South America. I'm gonna spend some time in Canada, um, and I think I have a conference coming up in November in France. So I'll got to get my running shoes on as soon as the borders open up and we're able to travel again, or when it's safe enough to travel again. It'll be go time for sure.
That's awesome. What would you say that are a few lessons that you have learned through traveling?
Get the TSA travel pass. TSA pre-check, or you can. There are two. TSA pre-check is one. I love that stuff. And then secondly is to apply for global entry. TSA pre-check. That means you don't have to take off your shoes. You don't have to take off your belt. You don't have to stand in long lines, especially when you go to busier airport like LA and New York and what have you. But global entry is also another. It's essentially like you skip the immigration line altogether. Mm-hmm. You go, you scan your fingerprint and scan your passport. Get out of there. You don't have to go through border customs and border control and all of that.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So skipping the lines is what I recommend.
I think it's only available for citizens, right? Or people or outsiders can do it too.
It's available for citizens of the United States and a lot of different countries actually can apply for global entry. Mm-hmm. As well as if you have a green card, you can apply for global entry as well.
Okay. Now you guys know.
Yeah.
You just apply for your TCA cards to avoid that lines with the security.
Yeah, the TSA pre-check is I think it's $60, and then global entry is another $100. So for about $200, you'll be in a situation where you get out of the airplane jet lag and tired, and you don't have to sit in any lines. You can just run out of the airport, basically.
That's awesome. So what is the current COVID-19 measure that is being taken right now there where you are?
Things are just starting to reopen. Fortunately for us, the amount of cases that we had, although Greenville, the upstate, is getting the most cases in South Carolina, is still relatively low compared to pretty much everywhere else in the country and the world. Because it's the South, there's a lot of space between everybody already. And people, one of the things, the measures that were put in place, weren't really as strict as the ones you described in Peru. Like I could go to the grocery store 50 times a day if I wanted to. But grocery stores were out there, cleaning the carts as people are going in and coming out, and then they were regulating the amount of people in the store at every given time. Restaurants are were closed for dining, but they're now reopened for outside dining and inside dining as long as the tables are about 6 to 8 feet apart. Barbershops opened today. That's why I was just telling you I'm gonna get a haircut finally. I'm excited for that for sure. But the upstate, Greenville, South Carolina in general, is one of the places that you want to be if you're going to have a pandemic. The reason why we have, I think, about 5 to 6 major hospitals within a 3-mile radius, to a point where we were able to just dedicate one hospital for COVID-19 only. And the remaining 4 or 5 were still functioning as normal. So we've been blessed in the sense that the impact here has been minimal. Obviously, when I say minimal, as health-wise, people still lost their jobs. I had my mother-in-law among one of those that lost their jobs. and restaurants closed. Some restaurants cannot even afford to open back up because they were already threading water before all of this happened, and this was just the last straw on the camel's back, and they closed that door permanently.
That's sad. That's sad. But to all this information, how would you encourage people to travel back whenever everything is open back again?
I think what I did, as a matter of fact, when everything shut down, I was in a hotel room in New York when the NBA, postponed the season or suspended the season. When everything was shutting down and travel was banned, I was in a hotel room in New York because I was there for a conference. What we did, myself and my coworkers who were traveling with me, it has been the same measures: wash your hands, avoid touching your face, wear a mask if you need to. But if you can apply those measures, I grab a bag of sanitation wipes that I usually put in my go bag when I'm traveling. So I'd say even after things open up, this virus is not going away until there's a vaccine or a cure for it. So practice what has been asked of you by the health professionals: washing your hands, avoid touching your face, maintain the distance between you and other people, and I think pray most importantly. There is nothing better than prayers, because ultimately that's where the solution is going to come.
That was awesome. That's awesome. Well, Valerie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, you got it, man.
Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Voy a cantar esta canción con mucho cariño de mi corazón.